So, good morning, Wake Forest Baptist Church family. I hope you've seen the flashing news bulletin. Masks are now optional. The regathering team, after many meetings and long prayer, are delighted that the conditions are such that we can announce to you, and hopefully you've already read the details, that masks are optional, certainly still encouraged, certainly still invited, but not required. And if that's been an issue for you, then no more. You can come on. And so I want to say that as I make an appeal for a couple of reasons to come back to worship. And I honor those who have stayed away because of mask requirements, because of safety issues, but we're in a different day now. And not only is the mask option different now, but we are entering the season of Lent starting a week from today, Ash Wednesday. It's hard to believe. Ash Wednesday, without a doubt, is maybe the most special, sacred, tender privilege of worship that I experience in the entire year. Imagine, as your pastor, I get to place on your forehead, physically, the sign of the cross. As I say those sacred words, remember you came from dust, and to dust you shall return. Sacred moment for me. But you have to be present for me to do that. There's something about, and that's the key for worship every Sunday, every Lord's Day. As the old saying goes, you have to be present to win. And I don't say that because you ought to do it or because you should. I don't like ever the words oughts and shoulds. I invite you to consider coming back to worship because you are wired for community. This is the way God created us. We were never meant, in fact, can't be, Lone Ranger Christians. And I know you can watch it online. I'm so thankful for some of you that that's a possibility who can't come out. But for many of you, making the effort is simply, sometimes I say to people, for all the spiritual aspect, it is about being a habit person. This is what you do on the Lord's Day because the Lord wants that for you. And we see this in the New Testament in Hebrews 10. It says, and let us consider how we may spur one another on to love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. You see, worship attendance wasn't just a 2022 issue. It was a first century issue as well. There's an invitation to be a part of a community. And why I don't like the words ought and should, because I don't want you to come to worship because you ought to or because you should, even though there is that certain attitude to it. I want you to come because you want to let God know your worship. God desires our worship. It's the same way if you're in any kind of relationship with a friend, a spouse, a loved one, you want to show them your love for them. Actions speak louder than words. And so you have to be present to win. And we find strength from one another. How hard it is these days to go it alone. The spirit of isolation that this pandemic has brought on for so many people has simply made even more critical that we find fellowship with each other. We find strength. I tell you, when I'm having some of my days, and I have them just like you do, others pick me up, and I rely on others to carry me when I can't carry myself. And to come into worship, to sing the hymns together, to pray in the company of each other, to listen to proclamation, to just be in the presence of a sanctuary or a fellowship hall or a Stevenson campus, is to just come alive to something greater than anything I can do on my own. You know, it's interesting, all the secular studies have actually keep supporting how important worship is. There's a great article in Christianity Today. I won't read the whole thing. It says, specifically when compared with those who never attend religious services, regular attenders have 33% reduced risk of death. You're going to stay alive longer if you worship. It's the best thing you can do. 84% reduced risk of suicide, 29% reduced risk of depression, 50% reduced risk of divorce, and on and on and on. The benefits are not only spiritual, they are physical, they are mental, they're on and on and on for all the reasons. And so the most common experience of Christians who don't go to church, I love this line, seems to be less a deliberate choice and more a substitution of habits. Get back in the habit. Next Wednesday, starting Sundays without masks now, we're missing you, some of you. And all it is, you've gotten out of the habit. And so maybe now this season of Lent, which is a season of honesty, a season of confession that leads us right up to Easter, maybe it's time to get back on the journey to coming back and worshiping with your church family because we miss you. So God bless you, and I hope to see you Sunday. And I especially hope that we'll come together in the service of Ash Wednesday. God bless you.